All right, so we're going to talk about 5 specific businesses that are exploding in growth right now. And although they are 5 very different businesses in different industries, they all share the same business model. So there is one business model that has transcended almost every industry that you can think of. And this business model has over 675,000 owners and represents 10% of every single business you see, meaning 1 out of every 10 businesses uses this exact business model. It produces over $860 billion of economic output in the United States alone and employs over 8.5 million people. Ladies and gentlemen, that business model is known as MLM, multi-level marketing.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
No, I'm just kidding. I almost got you though. The business model is actually franchising. What's crazy is that franchising has been around since 1981. And when most people think of franchises, they think of brands like McDonald's and Taco Bell, but there's really some interesting ones out there that I think you should know about. There are actually over 4,000 different franchise brands in the United States and over 750,000 different franchise businesses. Honestly, food brands are really just a small portion of the franchises that exist out there. So I did some research and I found 5 franchise brands that are exploding right now, and I think they're really interesting and you probably haven't heard of a few of them. Now this will be exciting because not only am I going to share 5 specific franchise brands, but we'll dive deep into how much it'll cost you to get them up and running. We'll show you how much money that you can potentially make with each franchise. Plus we'll look at their growth rates over the last few years and how many locations they've been opening. Now before we jump in, just note that this is not an endorsement for any of these franchises. Now it's incredibly important when buying a franchise that you do your homework. Now with that in mind, let's take a look at some of these franchises that have been exploding with growth. The first franchise is Crumbl Cookies. Now we're starting out with a bang with a controversial one. What I typically hear is people either love or hate Crumbl Cookies. And when you see their numbers, you might feel differently. Crumbl has had parabolic growth. And if you aren't familiar with Crumbl Cookie, well, they make cookies. The first Crumbl Cookies opened in 2017 in Utah. And Crumbl was co-founded by 2 cousins named Jason McGowan and Sawyer Hemsley. They both teamed up and dove headfirst into the world of baking. So after thousands of dollars in wasted dough and recipes that did not live up to their expectations and cookies that are just plain embarrassing to them today, the 2 cousins decided to take their perfect cookie quest to the people. So they went and gathered feedback and tested recipes, a practice that is still part of the Crumbl process today, until they created the world's best chocolate chip cookie. This brings us to explosive business lesson number 1, which is to ask your customers. Most entrepreneurs think they know what their customers want, but instead of guessing, just get the feedback from them directly to confirm that what you're going to put out in the marketplace is what they actually want and like. So I recently did this with a course we made on how to make money with franchises. We gave access to 20 people for free in exchange for their feedback. And a lot of this feedback I would not have thought of. Now, going back to Crumbl, this has been a franchise that has had explosive growth after developing a cult-like following, really cracking the code on building a brand with raving fans that everyone is talking about. Good or bad, people are still talking about them. And despite all their drama with the Utah Cookie Wars and suing a bunch of their competitors who allegedly stole their trade secrets from a Google Drive folder, Crumbl is still obliterating their competition. So let's talk some numbers. To open a Crumbl cookie ranges from $367,000 to $1.4 million. That includes their $50,000 franchise fee. And in 2022, the average Crumbl Cookies did about $1.8 million in sales with an average profit of $298,000, which is about a 16% profit margin. The lowest performing store did $589,000 in sales with a loss of $160,000, and the top performing location did just over $4 million in sales with over $1.1 million in profit, which is insane, and a very healthy 27% profit margin, which you do not often see in the food business. Now look, before you get all excited running to open a Crumbl cookie, all of their territories are sold out throughout the country. I recently saw 2 Crumbl cookie locations that sold for $5.5 million for the 2 of them. Pretty crazy. In 2020, they had 55 locations and ended at 142, which is 87 locations open for the year. 2021, they went from 142 to 326, adding 184 locations in a single year. And in 2022, they went from 326 locations to 689, which is adding 363 locations in a single year. Guys, this is a feat that would not be possible if they were corporate-owned stores, and it's a testament to the franchise business model. Now, here's the thing. Crumbl is a unicorn. They have over 1.6 million subscribers on YouTube, 4.1 million followers on Instagram, and are completely sold out on franchise locations. Now, some would argue that it's just a fad, like frozen yogurt, but only time will tell. Until then, they're still crushing it. This brings us to franchise number 2, which is KidStrong. KidStrong is all about helping kids win at life and helping parents build stronger, smarter, high-character kids. It's actually pretty cool. They have kids doing tire flips, rope clips, forward rolls, PVC sled pushes. It's pretty fascinating. Now, I've got to admit, I'm actually a little bit biased towards KidStrong. So the reason why is, here's how I initially found out about them. I started seeing their Facebook ads of little kids doing these awesome workouts. And it turns out there was a KidStrong opening up near us. And our son has been going there for 2 years. It's been a game changer for him. It's helped him build the confidence and stamina to be able to run and complete 3 Spartan obstacle races at the age of 4 years old. And get this, he got his trifecta medal in only 4 months. Pretty cool. So let's talk numbers. To open a KidStrong ranges from $364,000 to $664,000, including a $40,000 franchise fee. Now, unfortunately, they don't list any numbers around sales in their public disclosure document, which is pretty surprising. Now, usually I say that it's a little suspect, and maybe my bias is showing here, but I know for a fact that KidStrong has a strong financial model behind them. Now, I'll talk from my experience since they don't disclose any numbers. So we pay $129 a month to send our kid to KidStrong. What's cool about recurring revenue model franchises, or just businesses in general, is that you can do a pre-launch. So we actually signed up months before the location actually even opened. They were still doing construction. And so this can put you in a position where you actually open your doors day one, cash flow positive, because you have a few hundred members that you can charge day one when you open. And this brings us to explosive business lesson number 2, which is the power of a recurring revenue model. If you can have a product or service that people want or need every month, the recurring payments can provide stability and predictability to your cash flow and your business. It's a common model used with fitness and health related brands. Now, I know that at one point the location we go to shared that they hit the 500 family milestone. So let's do some math here. So at 500 paying members at $129 a month, that would be $64,500 in monthly recurring revenue. When you multiply by 12, it puts you at $774,000 in annual sales. They also do summer camps, which they charge around $200 to $300 a week for, which we've signed our son up for a few times. And at 30 kids a week at $250 a pop during the summer, that's $7,500 a week and an additional $30,000 a month in sales during the summer months. Now, the biggest challenge in a business model like this is dealing with churn, which is people canceling their memberships. So you do always need to be advertising and bringing in new members and making sure that your current members are happy. Either way, it's a pretty cool business model. Now, their growth numbers don't tell the full story. They've had a lot of big players come in and buy large territories and markets. For example, in our area, a group bought the rights to the entire Orlando and Tampa market. They expect to open between 16 and 20 locations, but as of now, they've only opened 4. So although they've sold a lot of territories, they haven't opened a lot of territories. So it's a challenge that Crumbl didn't have because they were mostly selling 1 and 2 locations at a time, not 15 or 20. So let's talk KidStrong's growth. In 2020, they went from 6 locations to 10, adding, 4. 2021, they went from 10 to 25, adding 15 locations. And in 2022, they went from 25 locations to 61, adding 36 locations. I'm really curious to see how they finish the year in 2023. I would imagine they're going to have a pretty explosive year this year. Hey, if you like the idea of owning a franchise and are curious on how you can find the right one that matches your skill sets and passions and financial goals, then I have a free hour-long masterclass training where I break down the 4 most profitable franchise buying strategies. You can go to franchiseempire.com to watch it, or the link is down below. Enjoy. At franchise number 3, we have Ellie Mental Health. Now, there is a saying that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And some may say that Ellie Mental Health got lucky, but I think they were prepared and the opportunity presented itself. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll explain in a second, but let's talk about what they do first. Ellie Mental Health provides therapy. They are a franchise that has therapists. It was a space in the franchise industry that really had not been disrupted. And going into COVID, Ellie had a handful of corporate locations that were just absolutely crushing it. So they started franchising during COVID when the need and demand for mental health services was through the roof. All right, which takes us to explosive business lesson number 3, which is, look, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Wayne Gretzky is famous for saying, "I skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been." So the idea is to think ahead and anticipate. How can you put yourself in the position to capitalize on what's coming in the future? As an example, our first franchise opened in a brand new shopping center. The explosive growth hadn't happened yet in the area, but I knew it was coming. So I knew the first year could be slow. Maybe we wouldn't make any money at all, but I knew that by year 3, we would crush it. Now it turned out we got profitable in year 1, and my 3-year prediction came true as well. But let's talk numbers on Ellie Mental Health. The startup cost to open a Ellie ranges from $278,000 to $480,000, which includes a $60,000 franchise fee. Now they show a lot of numbers for their corporate-owned locations, but none for franchise-open locations, as none of them were open for a full 12 months by the end of December 2022. In 2022, their lowest performing location did $562,000 in sales, and their highest location did a whopping $3.9 million in sales. Now, it's unusual to see franchise brands actively growing and building out corporate locations as they're franchising, because they tend to just want to focus on one thing. But Ellie seems to be making both work. So let's dive into some of their growth numbers. In 2021, they went from 10 corporate locations to 15, adding 5 new corporate locations. And in 2022, they went from 15 locations to 19, adding 4. For franchise locations, they opened a whopping 37 franchise locations in 2022. So I'm really curious, by the end of 2023, what are the numbers that they're going to show for some of these franchise locations? On to franchise number 4, which is Smash My Trash. Now, it's exactly what it sounds like. They smash trash. Now, talk about boring businesses. This is a franchise that is not sexy, but has had explosive growth. They've disrupted an industry of stationary trash compactors with their mobile dumpster compaction. For all of you parents out there, they were even featured on the hit series Blippi. Now, the reason why this business model works is because home builders, warehouses, or any other businesses with large dumpsters has to pay haul fees to have the full dumpsters taken away and a new one put in its place. And so that's where a company like Smash My Trash comes in, and they break down the trash to reduce the amount of times the dumpsters need to be hauled away, which in turn saves the business money. It's like the good old reach in your trash can and push everything down to make more space. Except this is with a giant hydraulic spinning wheel. Smash franchise territory sold like hotcakes between 2020 to 2022. They completely disrupted the industry, and then the copycats emerged, starting to saturate the market. And this leads us to explosive business lesson number 4. When you do something new and innovative, expect that the copycats are going to come out and they're going to steal your ideas. There will soon be a whole bunch of copycats. Figure out how to plan for it and get ahead of it. The faster you grow and secure new business, the harder it makes for them to really get any momentum at all. So just stay aggressive. Let's talk numbers. To get a Smash open ranges from $359,000 to $481,000, which includes a franchise fee of $49,500. In 2023, they chose not to disclose any sales information in their public disclosure document. But in their 2022 document, they did show an average gross sales of $317,000 with a high of $817,000 and a low of $88,000. My opinion, I think the verdict is still not out yet on the profitability of this business, but that didn't stop its growth. Speaking of growth, in 2020, they went from 26 locations to 245, adding 219. In 2021, they went from 245 to 446, adding 201. In 2022, they went from 446 to 549, adding another 103 franchises. So here's a really important point, is that when franchises are growing super fast like that, they're selling out faster than they could open, and the proof of concept may not have been duplicated enough times to show a track record of success. This causes FOMO and people start buying territories like crazy. So in these situations, proceed with caution. All right, last but not least, at number 5 is QC Kinetics. So they offer non-surgical options for pain. They use regenerative medicine to help people avoid surgery. What's funny is occasionally when I get in the car in the morning, the radio turns on. I never listen to the radio, but whenever it does, I always seem to hear an ad for QC Kinetics. So from a marketing perspective, they've been making some smart moves. They took a play out of Wingstop's book and they nailed a celebrity endorsement with former NFL running back Emmitt Smith. What's interesting is that they're pretty elusive about the specific treatment methods that they use. When I looked on their website, I couldn't find any names of the actual types of treatments they offer. All it says is that they use regenerative techniques, but it appears that they're doing treatments like stem cell therapy and PRP. Their startup costs range from $227,000 to $495,000, which includes a franchise fee of $55,000. What I liked about looking through their document is they're really transparent about their franchisee sales, and they list every single 176 franchise locations along with the date that they were open. Now, the sales range from $25,000 for locations that had only been open a few months to single locations doing over $3 million in sales that opened in late 2021. They are another franchise that has pretty much sold out most of the country. Let's talk about some of their growth. In 2020, it went from 4 locations open to 9, opening 5, with all 5 of those being corporate-owned locations. In 2021, they went from 9 locations to 68, opening a whopping 59 locations. And in 2022, they went from 68 locations to 169, opening 101 locations. Ultimately, what's cool about the franchise business model is how proven it is. It's been duplicated in industry after industry. Like we just talked about smashing trash, kids workouts, cookies, and more, all using the same business model to have explosive growth. Now, keep in mind, these are just a high-level overview of each brand. To truly get a good understanding of the profit potential and the viability of a franchise, you have to dive deep. There are also a ton of other factors to consider when buying a franchise, such as the lifestyle that you want to live, your personality, strengths, weaknesses, etc. Now, if you want to understand more clearly how you can make money owning franchises and the type of franchises that's best for you specifically, I recorded a whole training on my profitable franchise formula and figuring out how to find and buy the right franchise and make sure that you're protecting yourself in the process. The link to that masterclass training is below. It's a must watch. Now, have you ever wondered what are the top 10 franchises? Well, I made a video here uncovering Entrepreneur Magazine's top 10 fastest growing franchises. I think you'll enjoy it, so go check it out.